Good morning. I'm Rachel Bronson, President and CEO of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's virtual press conference hosted at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. I'd like to start by thanking President Mary Robinson and President Elbagdor Chakia of the Elders for joining us today. I would like to thank the Harris School of Public Policy at the University of Chicago for its ongoing partnership and for serving as the Bulletin's home institution. I would also like to thank our many supporters, foundations, corporations, and individuals from around the world who make opportunities like today possible. My colleagues and I join you this morning to update you on the 2023 time of the Doomsday Clock. The Science and Security Board of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists sets the Doomsday Clock each year to answer two important questions. Is humanity safer or at greater risk this year compared to last year? And is humanity safer or at greater risk this year compared to the more than 75 years we have been asking the question? The time on the Doomsday Clock represents the judgment of leading science and security experts about the threat to human existence, with a focus on man-made threats, nuclear risk, climate change, and new disruptive technologies, including biotechnologies. We at the Bulletin believe that because humans created these threats, we can reduce them. But doing so is not easy, nor has it ever been. And it requires serious work and global engagement at all levels of society. The Doomsday Clock was created in 1947 and has become one of the most powerful and most recognized graphic representations. Since its inception, the Bulletin's Doomsday Clock has been set closer and farther away from midnight. In 2020, we set the clock the closest it has ever been to midnight, at 100 seconds. It has been set as far away as 17 minutes to midnight at the end of the Cold War. The reasoning for why we set the time where we do can be found in our annual statement that accompanies our announcement and is available on our website. Today, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists is releasing its 2023 statement, which will be available shortly at thebulletin.org. Following the announcement of the time, we will proceed to hear from experts and world leaders about why we set the time where we did and what we can do about it. In 2020, when we first set the clock at 100 seconds to midnight, I stood before you and noted that the world had entered the realm of a 2-minute warning, a period when danger is high and the margin for error is low. I noted then that the moving of the clock closer to midnight moves us into a period that requires newfound vigilance and focus from leaders and citizens alike. The move from minutes to seconds emphasizes our proximity to midnight. When the Science and Security Board kept the clock at 100 seconds to midnight in January 2022, we called out Ukraine as a potential flashpoint in an increasingly tense international security environment. We noted that without swift and focused action, truly catastrophic events were more likely. And then when the clock stands at 100 seconds to midnight, the moment is both perilous and unsustainable. In February 2022, weeks after our announcement, our fears were borne out when Russia invaded Ukraine. In March of 2022, the Bulletin issued a statement that condemned the illegal and dangerous invasion of Ukraine by Russia and called on all countries to denounce Russia's actions and President Putin's outrageous threats of nuclear use. Russia's thinly veiled threats to use nuclear weapons remind the world that escalation of the conflict by accident, intention, or miscalculation is a terrible risk. The possibilities that the conflict could spin out of anyone's control remains high. As UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned this past August, the world has entered a time of nuclear danger not seen since the height of the Cold War. The war's effects also undermine global efforts to combat climate change, as countries dependent on Russian oil and gas have expanded investment in natural gas, and Russia's false accusations that Ukraine planned to use radiological dispersal devices, chemical weapons, and biological weapons take on a new meaning as well. The continuing stream of disinformation about bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine raises concerns that Russia itself may be thinking of deploying such weapons. There is no clear path for forging a just peace that discourages future aggression under the shadow of nuclear threat. The U.S. government, its NATO allies, and Ukraine have multitude of channels for dialogue. We urge leaders to explore all of them to their fullest ability. With this in mind, we are releasing today's statement in English, Russian, and Ukrainian. It is the first time we have done this, and we hope it garners the attention it deserves in the capitals most affected. Joining us to reveal the 2023 time on the Doomsday Clock are Siegfried Hecker, Chair of the Bulletin's Board of Sponsors, Director Emeritus of the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and a Professor of Practice at Texas A&M University and the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey. Daniel Holtz, Co-Chair of the Science and Security Board and a Professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy and Astrophysics at the University of Chicago. Sharon Squassoni, Co-Chair of the Bulletin Science and Security Board, Research Professor at the Institute for International Science and Technology Policy at the Elliott School of International Affairs at the George Washington University. Mary Robinson, Chair of the Elders and former President of Ireland. Elbegdor Tsakhia, Member of the Elders and former Prime Minister and President of Mongolia. Today, the members of the Science and Security Board move the hands of the Doomsday Clock forward, largely, though not exclusively, because of the mounting dangers in the war in Ukraine. We move the clock forward the closest it has ever been to midnight. It is now 90 seconds to midnight.